What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coffee Talks Live. I'm your girl, Sizzle Speaks. We are on episode 7, you guys. Like, I made it to 7 episodes, 7 weeks of doing this podcast, which is amazing. This is right. They say most people don't make it beyond, I think it's 7 or 8 episodes. So here we are, super excited. If it's your first time to Coffee Talks Live, this is where we talk about leadership, lifestyle, love, and leveling up. So, today's guest I'm really excited about because if you see me, I am fully natural. Like my hair is fully natural. I transitioned about 2 years ago, and it's been the most challenging, rewarding, expensive journey of my entire life when it comes to my hair. So I'm really excited to be here today and be talking with the wonderful Ty the Natural, who is also a Legacy Elite member. Shouts out to the Legacy Elite membership. And we're going to just kick it about her journey, textured hair, natural hair, and she's going to give you some gems and also talk about her book that she just authored recently. So while I see if my guest is here, oh, she is, with her hair looking
Hey, sis.
Dream. Hi.
Hey,
How are
sis.
you? What's
You
going
look
on?
beautiful.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Because I'm literally the definition of imperfect action right now. And I was like, this has to get done. I got poor Dr. Dapper here. We're trying to shoot a video for my 40th challenge. And then time was running short. And then we have to eat. So I had to stop in a restaurant to make this all happen. So hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Perfect. Perfect. How's your day going?
Good. My day's going great. I have no
Good. Good.
complaints. I'm honored to be
Awesome.
here today.
Yes, thank you. And welcome to Coffee Talks Live, where we talk about leadership, lifestyle, love, and leveling up, especially for my women out there. And so I'm excited to have you on today because clearly, I mean, you and I have been talking about the natural hair for a while now. And it's like so many aspects, so many parts to this whole journey. But I want to be able to give the audience a little bit of information about your backstory, how you got involved in natural hair, what got you and led you to this point, and just kind of dive in. So introduce yourself to the audience, let them know your background, where you're from, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So, hey, everyone. My name's Ty the Natural. I am a natural hair coach. I'm also an author. My book is called Texture Hair 101. And I became a natural hair coach because I didn't have anyone to help me along my natural hair journey. So I was suffering for years trying to figure out how to, maintain my hair, how to keep it moisturized, how to get it out of the afro. Like there's nothing wrong with the afro, but you kind of want the curls. I love my curls. So I was like, there's other women out here suffering. I can't be the only one. So I took it upon myself to be what I needed for other people. And, Ty the Natural, that natural hair coach was created.
Yes.
So a little bit of my backstory. I haven't always been natural. My mom started perming my hair probably around maybe 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one particular time that was very difficult. And it was very painful. And my feelings was hurt. So one time my mom had put a relaxer in my hair and she was like, it hasn't been in long enough. So we're keeping it in. I'm like, Mom, it's burning. And she was like, well, it hasn't been in long enough. You shouldn't have been scratching. I'm like, I wasn't scratching. It's burning. It's been in long enough, evidently. And little that she knew, the relaxer should never get to the point where it's burning. It should technically be removed before that even happens.
Right.
That just indicates that it's been on too long. And so the fact that she continued to keep it on my scalp, by the time she rinsed it off, it's probably about 20, 25 minutes later, my sides was completely gone. Like my sides were gone. Like I was in tears. I went to go cry to my dad. And I was like, why would she do this to me, Dad? I don't have no hair on my sides. I don't want to go to school like this. Um, and I was crying. I felt so low and sad. And then I even had a bald spot. Like I ended up having a scab in one particular spot because I guess the perm really ate up my scalp in that area. So by the time she rinsed it out, I had pink meat showing. And
What?
yes, and it eventually grew into a scab, a sore, and then it became a bald spot after the scab fell off, and my follicles were completely damaged in that area because of the relaxer. Thank God, once I transitioned to natural, it started to grow in. Like I can still see where the bald spot was, but it's not as noticeable as it was. Um,
Wow.
so after all of that, I still was getting perms, girl, because that's how I was raised. I didn't know how to take care of no natural hair, and I never even thought about going natural. Like I just
Right.
thought that was the way to be, relaxed. So what I was like, as I got older, was getting braids all the time by like the African women. They would do the goddess braids, or they would do the pinch braids, or the which are very bad for your sides, by the way. Um, Especially the micros. The micros are worse. But I know that those gave me some alopecia, and then I would get those just tight box braids, or one time I got a bob, and girl, they braided up all the baby hairs. Like I didn't have nothing out, and that's just, you don't do that. That will cause alopecia, break it, shedding. And that's what I started to experience. I was wondering why and then I already had the issue with the relaxer, so my edges have been always sensitive and very fragile because of that. So I try not to manipulate my sides very much because I know how fragile they are. So long story short, I was in the hair salon one day at the African shop. I was getting my hair done, and a young, older lady, not much older than me, but she was older than me. She was waiting to get her hair done. She was like, "Yeah, I'm transitioning to natural. I'm not doing no more of these." I thought I said relaxer, but she was like, "I'm transitioning to being natural, and I'm no longer getting relaxers anymore." And she was like, "Because girl, they cause fibroids." And at the time, I didn't know what that was. But they're basically polyps that develop in the woman's body, and they can be really painful. And when some of them can get really big. If they get so big, they have to be surgically removed.
Right.
So I didn't even do no research, girl. I just went off the whim, took her advice, and I was like, you know what? I'm not getting no more relaxers either. I'm transitioning. So I just kept getting the braids and the goddess twist, and at the time I had them in like 3 months. Girl, wasn't even putting a lack of moisture on my scalp the whole time. So and then I was wondering why I had all this shedding and all this hair after I removed it, not balls and all of this stuff, all of this stuff. So after I transitioned to natural, I started to watch YouTube because my brother he has a YouTube channel, so he kind of like lit the fire under my butt, like, won't you start a channel? Like, find you something that you really like to do and make you a channel about it. So I started to dig deep. It was between cooking vegan food or talking about natural hair. But I was really, really passionate into natural hair, especially after I seen my husband's sister completely do the big chop, girl. She
Right.
completely did the big chop, was natural, and girl, hair long down to her back. And it was like in like 2 years. I'm like, dang, her hair grew. So that was like inspiring for me. So I was like, you know what? It's definitely natural is the way. Cause I was stuck at this neck length, girl. Like when I was relaxed. And then I was even going to a beautician. I was doing everything I needed to do. I was tending to my hair. I was getting my deep conditioning. And then I didn't see no length. I'm like, what's up with the length? Where is the length at? Like, I'm tired of being at this length. Why isn't my hair growing?
Right.
And she's like, well, it's growing. You just don't see it. So at the time, obviously, I didn't know anything about length retention. So I didn't know how to properly protect my ends. And I didn't know how fragile our hair was. So obviously, it was breaking off when it was growing. So I never saw any growth. So now, since I've educated myself, and started my YouTube channel, I'm like, I got to know what I'm talking about. My brother was like, sis, you got to know what you're talking about before you get on here because people will challenge you. Like, so
Right.
you got to do your research and know what you're talking about. So I started getting books. Because honestly, you can't learn everything off YouTube. I know they have great information on there, but you can't learn everything on there. It's just you just can't. So I bought some hair books, start researching, read some articles, and really just started practicing on my hair, um, st- building my hair regimen, and really finding out what my hair likes, what my hair don't like, and really figuring out what's the best steps and procedures for my texture. And now I'm like totally in love with my hair. I totally feel empowered with my hair. Like I feel like it brings a whole new confidence, being natural, because it's you. Like it's no filter. There's nothing hiding it. Like it's authentically you.
Right.
Um,
So let me ask you this because I want to make sure, like, if anyone's watching this for the first time and they're like a natural textured hair girl and they're like, okay, so what is the first step in really identifying how I can take care of my hair, like the maintenance, what products, like, what's your first go to for someone who doesn't know their hair type, their hair texture, what products they should be using? What would you recommend for them to figure that out?
so they need to know three things. They need to know what their hair porosity is, the density, and the texture.
Okay.
Um,
So hair porosity, density, and the texture. Okay. So walk us
yes.
through that.
So everybody's texture is different. So that's a little hard. You just got to figure out, what your texture is and what accommodates it. And but then when it comes to density, that's like how many hairs is on your head. So if you can see your scalp really well, then that means that you have low density. Now, if you can't see your scalp, then you have high density. So basically, that's going to depend on how much of product you're using, because you don't want to use too much, because if it's thinner hair, then if you overutilize the product, you're gonna look like Frosty the Snowman, because you're gonna have all the flakes in your head, and
Right.
it's just not gonna be attractive. But if you have thicker hair, then you're able to get away with using more product because your hair needs more because you have more hair on your head. Now,
Hmm.
when it comes to the porosity, you have to know the porosity because that tells you how well your hair absorbs moisture. So you you have to identify by doing the porosity test. It's going to tell you if you have low porosity, normal porosity, or high porosity. If you have low porosity, then you're going to need more milky products, such as like coconut milk, water-based products, more sprays, something light. You don't want nothing
Okay.
heavy because it's not going to absorb. Because our cuticles are shut closed, so it's really hard for us to absorb moisture.
Gotcha. Okay.
So then when you have normal porosity, you pretty much can get away with using milky or using a little bit heavier creams or something because your hair isn't restricted to moisture like low porosity is.
Hmm.
Now, when it comes to high porosity, you have to use more thicker products such as like butters and creams, things like that, because those are heavier. So those are going to stick better with high porosity women or men that have high porosity hair.
Okay. So let me ask you this because I'm someone who learns a lot just by doing that porosity test because I didn't understand like my hair porosity at all and was just utilizing products that I thought would work well. And so figuring out the process of actually doing the test, which you take a piece of your hair, like a little hair strand or a couple,
Mhm.
right?
Uh-huh.
With no product in your hair. So just like clean, naked hair. And you put it
Yes.
in a cup of warm water, right? Just drop it
Well,
in a cup of warm water.
I
No,
would say room temperature.
room temperature, that's what it is. Room
Yes.
temperature water. Drop the strand in there, and then you see how the strand performs in the water. So if it floats or if it drops to the bottom. So what I realized is that I have high porosity hair, so I need the butters and the creams. But on the flip side of that, it's like the butters and the creams make my hair so heavy. Like I like my hair to feel like light in terms
Light.
of the weight.
Right.
So what would you suggest in terms of products to use that could give you that moisture, but also give you kind of that lightweight feel? If you know, if they're in the book, then we'll lead them to the book. But just if you had anything off the top of your head,
Um, so you're in between. So I would say, hmm, maybe coconut. Maybe
hmm
coconut. Have you tried coconut oil on your
I
head?
haven't.
I think you should try coconut oil. Make like
Okay.
a coconut based product. and see if that works for you. Have you ever tried As I Am products?
Yeah, so as I am, the coconut wash is what I was using for a very long time as like my shampoo, right? So I wasn't using it as the co-wash. It was literally
Okay.
like the shampoo, and then I would go right to the conditioner after. So that
Okay.
was like kind of my hair process. And then I got introduced to Mael, and we need to be reaching out to them for some drops on promo. This is not a promotional video, penny
I
meeks, but
know.
Mael, the bamboo and mint deep conditioner is literally my go-to, my holy grail. It's the only product I can honestly say that I feel like for my hair allows the curls to sort of come to life. Because like right
Mhm.
now I have what you consider a braid out. So those of you watching, if you don't know what a braid out is, like at least in my terms, what I consider my braid out is I'll part my hair in four sections, and then
Mhm.
I'll like almost cornrow and then twist the braid, and I'll do four of those and then just pin it and let it dry. And so then it will allow my hair to have sort of a crimp, because I have multiple hair textures within my mane. Like my back is a little bit more textured than my front. My front is a little more straight from wearing my hair in a ponytail, etc. So I can't. Well, I don't want to say I can't. I haven't figured out how to really manipulate my curls to come to life. And also, as you say, the curl girls, we need patience, because I
Yes.
feel like in my journey, I found that it takes a lot of patience to really work through manipulating your curl pattern, really allowing your hair to come to life. And like that's one thing I lack is patience. So for me, the Mayo conditioner, I'll put that in, I'll leave it in for a couple of hours, rinse it out, and my hair just feels really soft. It feels light. It doesn't necessarily feel hydrated. So that's the
Okay.
piece that I'm missing. And like I
Okay.
literally wanted to reach out to her and be like, hey, I wish you would drop the co-product to the conditioner, like something that can go on after to give you that hydration. Because I use what is it called? Moroccan oil and like the blue
Okay.
label to just
Okay.
give some moisture after. But
Why don't
it's definitely a journey.
Why don't you try grapeseed oil? Have you tried that?
I haven't, but I can look
Okay.
into that. So grapeseed
Um,
oil. So coconut oil, y'all, if you're watching and you got high porosity coconut oil and grapeseed oil, some suggestions for moisture if you don't want your hair to feel weighed down.
I added grapeseed oil to actually coat your hair to keep the moisture in. So if you want something
Ah,
to penetrate your strands, then you can use avocado oil. That's what I recommend that you use too, to help you with the moisture. That's going to actually penetrate your strands, and it's really good for your hair too, and it's light.
nice. Okay, so grapeseed oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, perfect. So during your journey in wanting to make sure you become the curl homies guru for natural hair, textured hair, what have you found that most women are challenged by who have natural or textured hair? Is it the actual process of finding products, or is it the patience, or what have been sort of like your most, I don't want to say complaints, because complaints make it sound like it's a bad thing, but the
Right.
topics that get talked about the most?
I would say breakage and dryness.
Okay.
I get a lot of people asking about maybe why their hair broke, or they're dealing with breakage on their crown, or their hair just cannot stay moisturized, and they don't know how to keep it moisturized and what to do. So I help them out, let them know the actual process, such as the LOC method. That's what I recommend everyone to be doing, because that's the proper way to lock in moisture.
Okay.
Um,
And what's that method? Walk us through that.
Okay, so the LOC method is liquid. It can also be a leave-in. It can be water. It can be aloe vera juice, which is really good for the scalp. It heals, the skin, and it helps grow your hair as well. So then after you use the L, you want to go to the O, which is going to be your oil. So you want basically something that's going to lock in that moisture that you just applied with the L. So something like grapeseed oil or black castor seed oil, but I know that's heavy for you, so I know that you won't use that. So that's why I recommend grapeseed oil for you, because grapeseed oil is not real heavy, but it
Right.
is a sealant. And it's alkaline. So it's one of the best oils to use. I actually cook with it.
Nice.
Um, and then the last one is C, which is a cream, or it can be your styler as well. So I would say I would recommend a cream for you, like to style your hair, a water based cream.
Mhm.
Um, I can't think of any offhand right now, but I do have this one that I just got from one of my girls off of IG. She sent it to me. Somebody gifted her, and she gifted it to me because she has dreads, so she can't use
Nice.
it.
Okay.
But I really liked it, girl. The curls was popping when I
There you
took it
go.
out the last time. So I'm gonna send you a copy of our picture of it when we get off of
Okay.
here. I can't think of the name
Perfect.
of it, but I feel like it's light enough that it'll be fine for you as long as you
Right.
don't apply a lot. A little goes a long way, in my opinion.
Okay, perfect. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, because this is something that's really popular when a woman's thinking about transitioning her hair, right? So, say she has been using a relaxer, and what I learned, because I went to hair school for a short period of time. So, like growing up, we referred to a relaxer as a perm. Like I always knew it as a perm until I went to hair school and realized a perm is like where you the process of the rods. And you actually use the perm to curl the hair versus
Yes,
straighten the hair. So
right.
that's a
And a
big
lot of people
difference,
don't know
right?
that.
They don't know that, you just
Hmm.
go to perm. And so when it comes to transitioning, right? So how does someone decide whether they should do the big chop and just start fresh, or if they should transition out slowly and start cutting up? Is that a personal decision, or is
Yes.
that based on the type of hair that you have?
I would say it's based off a personal decision unless you have severely been dealing with damage and you just need to chop it off. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But if it's not to that magnitude, then I would say it's a personal preference. And basically how you go about deciding is are you educated first before you go do this big chop? You know what I mean? Don't do the big chop if you haven't educated yourself on the beginning steps on how to even take care of your hair, how to even wash it, how to condition it,
Mm,
products, how to do the porosity test, your texture, your density. Like if you're not doing all those things, then you don't need to do a big chop because you're
mhm.
not ready and you're going to be throwing yourself into the fire and you're going to be
Yes.
miserable because you're not going
Mhm.
to know what to do with your hair because you didn't educate yourself.
Got
But
it. Y'all
so,
hear
but
that? If you're watching, educate yourself before you just go and chop your hair off so you know what you're doing. And if you're just tuning in, this is Coffee Talk Live, and I'm with Ty the Natural Hair Guru, author of Textured Hair 101. So make sure you click the link in my description box after this and go purchase her book. It's available now, which we're going to get into in a minute. But key point, if you're going through a transition, and you are not educated about your hair texture, she does not suggest the big chop because you're going to do more work trying to figure out your texture. And you may potentially damage your new texture that you just, starting to grow in if you just go and do the big chop. So you would
right,
suggest transitioning for that person or
right.
get the education.
Yes. And if you like me and you just don't feel like you look good with short hair and you may think your head is a little big, then I suggest you do the transition because that's what I did. I was like, child, I'm not cutting off all my hair. I'm
Right.
like, I'm gonna transition. I'm gonna do some protective styles and I'm gonna grow this mess out and chop it off
Yes.
little by little. And so
Right.
that's what
And
I
for
did.
me, when I went natural, I did it based on just transitioning the hair. I didn't do the big chop. I've had my hair short before, so I'm not opposed to short hair. However, when it was short, it was relaxed. So I couldn't imagine like what my hair would look like just in the curly state, natural state. So debating chopping my hair off again, but then I thought about the fact of going back to a relaxer, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm still in like that stage of unknown. I got 38 days to figure it out before my 40th, but it's
Right.
definitely, you got to have patience, is what I learned through this journey when it comes to
Yes.
hair and textured hair. But I can, and we've talked about this offline, and I know this is a big thing for you, is the women who protect their hair for the sake of making sure that their hair is conditioned, moisturized, working through its healthy state, versus women who protect their hair because they're hiding their natural hair. And we've talked about that quite a bit. And so, say there's someone watching this live right now and they're in this situation where they're wearing wigs or they're wearing these protective styles because they're, either embarrassed or don't know how to embrace their natural hair. What suggestions would you make for that woman who's watching and she's like, you know what, I always felt like I wanted to just cover my natural hair because I don't know what to do with it.
Well, I would say you need to get you a natural hair coach. You need somebody who's going to be educated to teach you the proper techniques on how to care for your hair, because it's hard trying to learn it on by yourself. So
Mhm.
why don't you get with an expert who actually have been through, some struggles, who actually had alopecia, who actually dealt with relaxed hair, who untransitioned, who is now, maintaining healthy hair and in a past surpassed the growth that she was stuck at for years. So
Mhm.
I would say either that, or you really gonna have to go research. You're gonna have to go pick up a book, few books, and get the
Mhm.
reading. And they ain't small either. Not all of them. Not the real good
Mhm.
ones. They not small. Like, I'm super excited because I just ordered me a new hair book, and it's
Yeah.
all about the scalp girl. That book was $90. So
Mm.
after I get done reading that book, the price is going up, sis.
Yes. I didn't even realize there were books out there for hair and like scalp. I figured like scalp maybe when it comes to dermatology or something like that, but I didn't realize there were books just to learn about the scalp. So that's quite interesting. And I would
Yes.
be curious to know what you learned in that too, because my sides on both sides have been like thin slash
Hmm.
balding for many years. And so that's why I was so upset with that moment I just had it also where the young lady burned my
Yeah.
edges off because then it exposed that area of my hair where I dealt with a little bit of thinning balding for a few years anyway. And I'm like, okay, now there's no way for me to hide that unless I really just pull my hair back down to the side. And so I've been to a dermatologist and had them look at it. They didn't say I had alopecia or any issues. It's just like unknown as to why that was happening. But
Mm.
I am going to go back and look at it again now that alopecia is like something that's talked about more mainstream. Like it's a conversation on a daily basis. There's many women who struggle with alopecia. So, this was a few years ago when I went to get it checked, but I am going to go back and get it checked out because I think it's important. So, talk to us about what does a hair coach do? So, if I'm your client, I'm looking for a hair coach. What can I expect in the service? What do you provide? And then I want to talk a little bit about the book.
Okay. So you can expect, one-on-one time with me. Like me being your mentor, I'm basically holding your hand through this. You can expect a 24/7 community that'll be open to other women that may be dealing with something that you dealt with. That you can, y'all can network. You can talk to other women besides just me. You will also get to meet with me twice a month in a group setting. And you'll also get affirmations. You'll get a hair recipe as well every week. Um, and then I was throwing my book in there too. I was gonna throw my book in there as well as a gift, which I think is very valuable. So I think I'm gonna add one more thing to it. I think I'm gonna also add videos, like what type of hairstyles they can wear during the certain climates, such as spring, summer, winter, and just different like hairstyle inspirations.
Love that. That's great. And hairstyle is key, right? Because oftentimes the other part of it is not knowing how to style your hair when it's textured because you don't always want to wear a ponytail. Like I know I
Right.
struggled a lot with just going in, washing my hair, putting a ponytail, or even wearing a braid out. I have to go and wash it. This is like from last night, so it's fairly decent, but it's not like something that will last for a few days. So having options for hairstyles when you're textured is extremely important. And I definitely suggest you guys, if you're watching, to go pick up Ty's book. It's available now. Textured Hair 101. I myself bought the book. As soon as she dropped the pre order, I was like, sign me up. I got to figure this out. So definitely recommend you go get in the book. So just tell us a little bit about what they can expect in the book.
Okay. So in the book, I break down basically each part of what you have to do for your hair, such as shampooing, conditioning, deep conditioning. I also provide you with the three zones, like zone one, zone two, zone three, but I'm not going to break those down. You have to get the book to find out what that is. But it basically tells you, why you may be seeing shedding, this amount of shedding. So that's very important. I also break down how to build your customized hair regimen because that is key. That's needed. You have to have it. Just like with anything, you have to have a routine. You can't just be 1 week on, 1 week off and expect to have, superior results with your natural
Yeah.
hair. It just don't
It's
work
like
that
going
way.
to the gym. You need your plan. Like if you want weight loss or if you want weight gain, you need your plan of what you're going to eat, the diet, the workout, everything. Yeah,
Right. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of people forget that taking care of your natural hair is part of self care. You cannot preach about self-care if you're not taking care of your natural hair. You have to
Absolutely.
do all of the things. You have to do everything, not leave your hair off and take care of everything else.
Yes,
Like no.
that's key.
Um, girl, I don't forgot what else I was saying.
Oh, what was in the book, so they can
Okay.
expect their, the hair regimen, what type of hair they have. You can figure that out. So it's basically your 101. So it's your basics of taking care of textured hair, or even understanding textured hair, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it's
And I
very
even put
informative.
in oh,
Okay.
I even put in there the proper ingredients that you should have in your products. I even put the list of what ingredients you don't want in your products. There's child hair care information in there as well, which I believe is very important because they are our future. So we need to know how to take care of their hair. Plus, I get a lot of women that tell me all the time they don't know how to take care of their daughter's hair, or that their daughter hates their hair. I don't like that. Like that makes me mad. I really do not like that. So we have to change that because I don't want these little girls to grow up being programmed feeling like they have to slap a wig on to be
Right.
accepted. Like no,
Exactly.
low. We have to get out of that.
Yeah.
And then another thing that I put in the book was also a list of black owned businesses in there that you can purchase hair products from as well. I also put in there some health wise elements of what you need to be putting in your body to, because it's not all about what you put on your hair, it's what you put inside your body too. Because if you eating, donuts and Cheetos and, all these greasy and not good food, the
Hmm.
food that's not good for you, your health is going to decline on your hair because you're
Right.
not feeding it the right thing. And you also got to be making sure you're drinking water. If you're
Hmm.
not drinking no water, your hair gonna be dry. My gallon right over there, sis. I am not gonna be up all night tonight.
There you go. I love that. I love that. Well, you guys heard it here first. Tide the Natural, talking about texture hair, what you need to do to take care of it. And I think the general message that we all share is if you are natural in your hair journey, embrace it, love it, understand it. Excuse me, and get the knowledge that way you can embrace it, love it, and understand it. And so Ty's book is available now, Textured Hair 101. It's only $47. It is an ebook, so you can look at it at your leisure while you're on the plane or you're on vacation or you're just going to work. You can literally see it right there from your phone. And we know we're all connected to our phones. And so the last question I want to ask, when we do this on every Coffee Talks episode, is what does Ty do on her coffee break?
I'll have to say tea break because I'm more of a herbal tea drinker.
There you go.
Um, I would say read, or I'm working on something, maybe
Get to work.
content or brainstorming, um, being creative. I would say that one of those things. Got to
Yes.
be creative.
Always, always. Well, let everybody know where they can find you. What's your social media handle?
Okay, so you can find me at the @ which is Ty the Natural. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, IG, and I also have my podcast. So, but my podcast video is linked to my YouTube channel. So, if y'all have not seen my YouTube channel, make sure y'all go over there and look at me and Stizzo's. Well, girl, what am I saying? I made it seem like we had an episode.
We do right now. This is the episode conversation. There you go, y'all. Make sure you follow at Ty the Natural on all social media platforms and follow Sizzle Speaks. Hopefully, you guys are already following me. Thank you, Ty, for being on another episode of Coffee Talks, episode 7. I'll be back next week for episode 8. And if you're just tuning in, just go ahead and rewind and get all your information about natural and textured hair. I appreciate you, Mama.
Thank you, sis.
All right.
Bye.